The rain had been falling since before dawn, the kind that soaked into skin and spirit alike, turning the wide Texas plains into a cold, endless stretch of mud and silence. And by the time evening settled in, Clara stood trembling on the edge of a wooden porch that didn't belong to her, clutching a small wicker basket as if it were the last thing anchoring her to the world. Her dress clung to her body, heavy with rain, her hair plastered to her face, and inside the basket, wrapped in a thin, worn cloth, a tiny puppy slept peacefully, unaware that his entire future balanced on the next few moments. Clara's heart pounded so loudly she feared it might give her away, but she raised her hand anyway and knocked, the sound barely audible beneath the storm. This was her last hope. The house belonged to Cole Harrington, a rich cowboy whose land stretched farther than most people could imagine, a man known for his wealth, his distance, and the steel-like calm in his eyes. Clara had heard the whispers in town, the warnings not to bother him, but hunger and desperation had a way of silencing fear. When the door finally opened, warm light spilled out, and Cole stood there dry and solid, his presence commanding without effort. His gaze fell to the basket, then back to Clara's soaked, shaking figure. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice low and guarded. Clara swallowed hard, her voice barely steady as she whispered, "Please, take my puppy." She knelt then, right there on the porch, placing the basket gently between them, shielding it from the rain with her own body as if instinct demanded she protect him to the very end. She told him the truth in broken pieces, how she had nothing left, no home, no food, how she had tried every door in town and watched them close one by one. "He deserves better than this," she said, tears mixing with rain. "Better than me." The puppy stirred, letting out a small, helpless sound, and something in Cole's chest tightened unexpectedly. He had faced storms, losses, betrayals, but this was different. This was quiet devastation kneeling at his feet. He told her she couldn't just leave an animal on someone's porch, that it wasn't right. But when she said she would take the puppy and walk away if he refused, the thought of her disappearing into the storm unsettled him deeply. After a long silence, he agreed to take the puppy. Relief crashed over Clara so hard she nearly collapsed, gratitude spilling from her in whispered thank yous. Yet as she turned to leave, stepping off the porch and back into the rain, something felt painfully unfinished. She barely made it a few steps before her strength gave out, and she had to steady herself against the railing. Cole watched her, the puppy warm in his arms, and without fully understanding why, he called out to her, stopping her in her tracks. When she turned back, hope flickered in her eyes, fragile and dangerous. "If you're leaving him here," Cole said slowly, his voice dropping to a firm whisper, "you're not walking off into nowhere in this weather. You stay too." The words changed everything. Inside the house, warmth wrapped around Clara like something she had forgotten existed. Cole set the puppy near the fire, replacing the wet cloth with a dry towel, and the little dog curled up instantly, trusting without question. Clara ate soup with shaking hands, the heat slowly returning to her body, and for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel invisible. That night, lying in a clean bed, she expected fear to keep her awake, but instead she slept deeply, dreaming not of running or hunger, but of standing in the rain and being told she could stay. Morning brought sunlight, the smell of coffee, and the soft sound of paws on the floor. Cole was crouched near the puppy, his expression softer than Clara had ever imagined it could be. And when he told her she didn't have to rush away, something fragile and hopeful began to grow between them. Days passed, and what began as shelter became routine, and routine slowly became belonging. Clara helped around the ranch, spoke of her past in careful pieces, of loss and wandering, of finding the puppy abandoned and choosing love despite knowing the cost. Cole listened without judgment, and in that quiet listening, both of them began to heal. The ranch no longer felt like just land and walls, it felt alive again. As the sun set one evening, casting golden light across the fields, Cole admitted something he hadn't said aloud in years, that Clara hadn't just brought a puppy to his door, she had reminded him what it meant to care, to open his life to something uncertain and real. Standing there together, with the puppy curled safely at their feet, it became clear that a single stormy night had rewritten both their futures, not through wealth or power, but through compassion. And if this story moved you, if you felt the rain, the fear, the hope, then stay with us. Because stories like this remind us why kindness matters. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because the next story might just change the way you see the world. the same way one knock on a door changed everything for them.